Efforts have come and gone, some political, some military, others community driven. But the question remains, why does Bakwu still burn? And more importantly, can it ever know peace again? Today we're asking the hard questions, listening to the voices on the ground and in leadership, and we're challenging ourselves as a nation to reflect. What will it take for Bakwu to give peace a chance and to also keep it? Let's take you now through a chronology of violent incidents in Bakwu. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can also follow along with us. Now, January 17, 2024, we're starting off with happenings in 2024. You have gunmen attacking tricycle operators near the Bakwu Community Center, and we had some casualties, which is always the most unfortunate part of the whole saga. 2 dead and of course injuries abound. January 18, 2024, 3 persons killed by soldiers in Sabongari during a security operation following renewed fighting, and we're told that the center of that particular violent incident was chieftaincy related violence, and that left 3 people dead. Then you've got January 19, 2024, a bus carrying students was attacked near Binduri, causing injuries. The root cause, we're told, ethnic tensions. Several were injured. Thankfully, nobody lost their life in that particular scuffle. Then we take you backwards. March 16, 2022, 1 killed, 3 soldiers injured in a gunfight. Again, chieftaincy disputes seem to be at the center of that particular scuffle. December 2022, and this is in no particular order. We're just highlighting some of the incidents that have happened in more recent times. Renewed clashes led to deaths, property destruction, and mass displacement. Again, chieftaincy disputes being at the heart of the issues. 18, though, were left dead. This is December 2022. Now let's bring you to January 31st, 2023. 10 dead in clashes between residents and alleged military personnel. Again, you've got chieftaincy and land issues at the center. 10 persons lost their lives. October 28, 2024, gunmen blocked Bolgatanga Tamale Highway, opening fire on innocent travelers. We're told ethnic tensions fueled that. 8 persons were left dead. October 26, 2024, gunfire exchanges due to the return of a rival chief left 2 dead and several injured. Let's go to March 2023. Renewed violence over land ownership disputes led to casualties. Multiple persons were injured. October 2023. Again, the return of a rival chief led to clashes with multiple fatalities. December 2023. Chieftaincy-related violence led to deaths and displacements. We can't put a number, though, on the number of people that lost their lives. January 2022, clashes over chieftaincy issues resulted in casualties. Multiple people injured in that incident. So we go to March 2022. Again, gunfights between security forces and unknown assailants in Bakwu. We gather that the root cause was a security incident, and there were casualties on both sides. December 2021, renewed clashes resulted in several deaths and a curfew in the area. You know that curfews are quite frequently renewed in the Bakwu area to maintain peace and order. Again, in January and March of 2021, chieftaincy and land issues resulted in multiple persons being injured, with clashes over land and chieftaincy rights fueling the chaos. And then we'll take you to 2020, down also to 2019. Let's go to December 2020. Chieftaincy disputes escalated into violence with casualties. multiple people were injured. January 2020, renewed violence over chieftaincy issues with several fatalities. In fact, multiple people left dead. March 2020, ethnic clashes over land led to multiple injuries and fatalities. December 2019, chieftaincy-related violence led to multiple casualties, multiple people injured.
We no go fight, not so. Where did they smoke them big cigars and drive them big cars?
92.7.
We go back in time. These issues go back January 2019, March 2019, December 2018, January 2018. A multitude of issues with the root cause stemming from chieftaincy issues, land issues, multiple Ghanaians injured, multiple Ghanaians left dead. Let's ruminate on these stats as we pause for a very quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the meat of the matter. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Don't go anywhere. This is a matter that concerns you and I. in the Bakwu region. Time check, it is some 24 minutes past the hour of 8. You're still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. And we're zooming into our big conversation this morning. Can Bakwu ever give peace a chance? Now, there's a story on 3news.com. Do be sure to check out 3news.com. Police are sure to enhance security in Bakwu and surrounding communities. If you're watching us on Facebook, you'll see there's some visuals of very recent clashes and destruction to properties. In fact, the Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, was not spared in this fracas. We now know that there was an attempted burning down of his family home in the region. But again, on 3news.com, police are sure to enhance security in Bakwu and surrounding communities. Now, the police have assured the general public that they will work with stakeholders to ensure peace in Bakwu. Now, this comes at a time when violent confrontations occurred between the youth and law enforcement officers in Bakwu on Thursday, April 10. That's yesterday. The clashes, which reportedly resulted in fatalities, injuries, and the vandalization of private residences, have raised concern over escalating tensions in the area. Now, a statement issued by the police said the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Christian Tete Yohonu, IGP, accompanied by some members of the Police Management Board and other experts from the National Police Headquarters, will pay a courtesy call to the esteemed overlord of Bakwu as part of the official visit. Now, during the visit, the IGP and his team will hold consultations with the overlord of Bakwu and seek his counsel and support as the team works together with other stakeholders to resolve some misunderstanding between the youth groups of the town and the police, which resulted in violence on April 9th, 2025. Now, the Ghana Police Service remains committed to working with all key stakeholders to enhance security in Bakwu and its surrounding areas. Meanwhile, the Minister for Interior has, on the advice of the Upper East Regional Security Council and by executive instrument, reviewed the curfew hours imposed on the Bakwu municipality and its environs in the Upper East region from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. The review took effect on Wednesday, April 9, 2025. A statement issued by the minister said there is a total ban on all persons in the aforementioned communities and their environs from carrying arms, ammunition, or any offensive weapon, and any person found with any arms or ammunition will be arrested and prosecuted. Now, the Member of Parliament for Bakwu, Mahama Ayariga, condemned the violent confrontations between the youth and law enforcement officers in Bakwu. The clashes, which reportedly resulted in fatalities, injuries, and the vandalization of his private residence, have raised concerns about escalating tensions in the area. Now, in an official statement issued while on an assignment outside the country, Mr. Ayariga expressed deep concern over the loss of lives and the attempted burning of his house. Shortly, we'll attempt to connect with our Upper East Regional Correspondent, Castro Sengela, for some better particulars. Castro Sengala. He's our Upper East Regional Correspondent, and he'll catch us up to speed on what exactly is happening in the area. Castro, hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Helen.
How are you doing?
By the grace of God, how are you doing? How is the rest of the team doing?
Everybody is doing fantastic, although we're very concerned with what is happening in Bakwu, especially given what has transpired over the last 48 hours. So do tell us, describe the current mood in Bakwu, and is there a genuine interest in peace from the people?
Right, Helen, once again, a good morning to you. Yes, Bakwu is very calm as we speak now because there's been a lot of deployment as far as security briefing is concerned in the area. We've had in the last couple of hours, we've had a lot of men from the police and the military being deployed to the town to ensure that it is safe for civilians to go about their duties. And as to whether the civilian population in Bakwu are concerned and really want to genuinely have peace return to the ones the business hub of the region. Yes, I continue to engage residents as and when I am able to, and I get the impression that yes, a lot more of them want peace to reign. There have been a few concerns of security brutality. There have been a few concerns of infrastructure, from government access and city access. But in all, the concerns of our residents is that, the state and its access should be able to sit with the two factions and bring find an amicable solution to this, because it appears the town which was once a very big business town is beginning to bear the brunt of all the excesses of the conflict. For instance, businesses are living, folding up, banks are living, and even water and electricity sometimes get affected. And for that matter, they feel that there's the need for peace to reign so that residents can grow their town once more. The children can go to school, they can go and seek healthcare when there's a need. They will have that liberty to roam about the town without being restricted.
Now, what are some of the most common frustrations or concerns that the locals express regarding the conflicts and the attempts at resolution?
Helen, the most, topical concern is the inability for residents to move about the town like they used to. I remember back in the days when we used to go to Bakwu, stay there for like a week and do stories, award-winning stories. That is not the case now, not for us, but for residents as well. A resident who used to live somewhere within the town, one suburb, and could roam to the market and do whatever they want to do and come back peacefully without any worry, cannot do that again. They can't move around. There's a hospital facility across the street. It's known to be the best in town. When you are sick and you arrive there, you are able to get treated. But because of the conflict and because of the fact that there's been this sharp division, you can't cross over to that facility, that hospital facility, to get yourself treated. That is a major concern. And also there's the concern of the fact that they are not able to trade. Bakwu is known for, a robust trading, economy. It has two borders, one to Togo and one to Burkina Faso. The Bakwu enclave is a very rich place. The people are able to cross over to the two countries and engage in trade and bring whatever they make back to Bakwu. And that has always been the strength of Bakwu. At one point, Bakwu was competing with major towns in the southern part of the country in terms of, funding, in terms of generating funds and all of that from the market. Now, residents are not able to do that. And so that is also another concern. They want to be able to trade. They want to be able to go about their business activities without an issue. But because of the conflict that has caused this sharp division between, in the town, the traders are not able to do that. And so if you look at what happened on Wednesday, it's basically because of the fact that some women wanted to cross into another faction, an area that is controlled by one of the factions in the conflict, but were restrained because there's a directive that traders, especially women from the faction, should not mingle in trade business. And that is a big issue. And so there's been, instances where youth who want to enforce that directive block roads, and in the attempts by the police and other security agencies there to clear off those, blockages or blockades, then violence, issue like, scuffle usually ensue because of, the police or the security agency's intervention, as we witnessed on Wednesday. And so these are the top concerns of the people of Bakwu. And like I stated earlier on, the hope is that the state and its actors will be able to work assiduously and around the clock and engage the factions to find a lasting solution to the problem. Because this current government, one of its promises was to ensure that they engage the factions and find lasting solutions to. And so the youth of the area are looking forward to government, redeeming that promise and delivering as they promised.
Now, is there currently a curfew in place?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a curfew in place. In fact, the curfew has been reviewed. At first, it had been relaxed because the member of parliament for the area, Muhammad Reza, had argued that we are in the heat season, and that is true. A lot of people, especially in the evening, it's very unbearable fact that you can't be confined to your room. Imagine you live in a small room with your wife and 3 kids. It would be very unbearable to be confined in that room. Just immediately after, sunset. And so he argued that there was a need for them to, review it and extend it at least to 8 p.m. in the night, from 8 in the morning to 8, so that at least the people can, engage in social life a little in the night, so that by the time they are going to rest or retire to their beds, their rooms would have been cooler, or the rooms would have been, area enough for them to sleep. But then, following what happened on Wednesday, there's been a review, Helen, where we understand, or as the Ministry of Interior has communicated, we understand that it's now 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. And so that means that strictly by 5:55, if you are a resident of Bakwu, you should be some few meters away, some few steps or feet away from your house. Because right after 6, if you are found, there will be trouble for you, because the security agencies, the police, and the military are there enforcing, that directive, and they are not joking about it at all, because they want to be able to ensure that people don't come out to cause trouble, and that would lead to the loss of lives, especially of innocent people, and the destruction of property.
Thank you for that, Castro. Let me also acknowledge Dr. Victor Doke. He's also joined us on the phone lines. He's a security lecturer with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Doc, hello, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'll be coming to you shortly, so please hold on for me. Just getting some better particulars from our Upper East regional correspondent, Castro Sengana. Now, Castro, have there been any grassroots or community-led peace efforts that you are privy to?
Not at all. In the past, yes, they have been. But before that, let me say a very big morning to my senior colleague who has just joined us. He's someone I admire so much. And so let me step aside a little in terms of a profession to say hello to him and a very big good morning to him. And now, yes, there's been efforts in the past where youth groups within the Bakwu area and by extension the Bakwu enclave have come out to, condemn and ask that peace should be allowed to come, to prevail. But in the last couple of months, that hasn't happened at all. Helen, that hasn't happened. I haven't seen a youth group coming out to speak basically about the need to build peace, to promote peace and to let peace prevail anymore. I haven't seen anything of that nature, except that the police and the military and sometimes the National Peace Council, the Regional Peace Council, in concert, organize peace talks and trainings, especially for the men in uniform to be able to know how to deal with the situation there. But as to groups or the people coming together to leave the issues of the conflict behind and genuinely make calls for residents to allow peace to prevail, that hasn't happened, Helen.
Now, Castro, I want to ask you this. You are on the grounds reporting on the issue. How do you navigate reporting on such a sensitive and volatile issue without inflaming tensions?
It is very important as a journalist to always, let professionalism be your hallmark. Yes, I have friends in both the divides. I have friends on this in divide A, and I have friends in divide B. I have sources in this, divide A, and I have sources in divide B. But at the end of the day, it's always important as a journalist to be very professional. Don't be too emotional, or don't be emotional about issues. Report the facts, and most importantly, because of the fact that I have reported on issues of conflict and crime, and by the grace of God, I have been awarded nationally and recognized. I have been able to step on that to build this very good rapport among the top hierarchy of the police and the military, both regionally and at a national level. So whenever I come across information, the first thing to do is to run checks with these, state security agencies to get true facts on the ground. And before I go, ahead to report. I don't crave to be the first to break. No, I ensure that I report the true facts and nothing else but that. And also, when issues come, especially concerns are being raised from the other side, I try as much as possible to listen, I report, and when the other faction feels that they've been slighted and they also bring their concerns, I don't hesitate. I publish them as well. And so, Helen, that is what has helped me. And as I speak now, I have been able to stay within, the middle, and I report what it is. And it's really interesting to know that I am able to go to one faction and speak to the people there, and when I'm done, they escort me to the other faction who received me well, and also I speak to them, and they bring me back. And the first group will take me and see me off, and they have no issues whatsoever. Simply because I have been able to stay true to my profession, and I've shown that I am professional at it by always cross-checking facts and making sure I report the right thing, and not wanting to be first to break and end up getting issues. This is basically what I've been doing, and by the grace of God, we're moving, and we're hoping that we go far. And Helen, a quick one. I'm hoping that in the future I'm able to go back to the classroom where I would pursue deeply issues of security and become like my senior colleague who has joined me, Mr. Docker.
Absolutely. Now, talk about fact-finding and being able to liaise between the two factions. When you speak to both sides, is there a consensus on what the root cause is? And in fact, what is the root cause? What do the locals say is the actual issue? Why are we fighting?
Helen, that is a very tough question. Yes, if you speak to the various factions, everybody wants to appear right. That is one distinctive thing in all the engagements I've held with them. All of them want to appear right. You have to learn the art of listening to all of them, and I've been doing that over the years. But the truth is that this one wants to let you know that he's right. They are the true owners of the land, of the skin, right. Of they are the true owners, or they are the owners of all of the skin. They should be made chiefs. When you speak to B2 says the same thing. But Helen, what has changed is that there have been a lot of issues. There have been a lot of excesses from all of this. Where someone feels that because his relative has been caught up in a shooting and has died, he has to, make sure that he, carries to pay for that. And so a lot of issues have come. Someone who has lost his wife through a shooting feels that no, he won't let that slide. He has to do this to also engage in another attack to ensure that he pays for it, and right. he feels that he has done his best for his departed relatives. And so that is basically the whole thing. But when you speak to them, everybody thinks that they are the true owners of whatever it is. So you just have to listen and report their concerns. And when the other side calls you, do the same thing, and hope that the state security actors are listening and they are taking note of what they are raising. And when there's time for them to act, they put that together and are able to come out with initiatives and policies that would help to bring the situation under control.
Castro, we're grateful for your time this morning. Thank you for keeping us abreast with the latest happenings in Bakwu. Do stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much, Helen.
That was Castro Sengela. He's our Upper East Regional Correspondent in the thick of things. Security lecturer Dr. Victor Doke is still on the lines with us. Doc, hello, good morning again.
Good morning.
So we were just speaking with Castro, and he's painted a picture of what Bakwu is looking like this morning. At least he says it's a bit peaceful this morning, but we know that over the last 48 hours or so, Bakwu has been boiling. I asked him about what both factions say is the root cause, and he says it's centered around land issues and chieftaincy issues. But from a security and conflict resolution perspective, what are the key root causes of the conflict in Bakwu, from your perspective, that continue to defy peace efforts?
Thank you very much. So, as Castro, so I'm continuing from where Castro left off.
Sure.
Because he has already given the details. Now, we talk about root cause of a conflict. Normally, it's embedded in history. And per the history of the two ethnic groups in Bakwu, Mampus, and Kusasi, every side has its own narrative of the history. But the main issue is about chieftaincy. And when you have the chieftaincy, you control the land. When you have control of the land, you definitely control the resources and everything that comes with it. These, the knowledge that I have are the root causes, okay? Now, along that line, there are factors that align with the root causes called the proximate factors that what also exacerbates the conflict and then results in violence, clashes between the two sides. One, you can talk about the festival celebration of the two ethnic groups. When to celebrate a festival is a problem because then the Mampusis would have to go to the Bokunaba and request for permission to perform that festival, which they don't want to do because then they see that aspect as feeding to the authority of the Bokunaba, which they don't want to do. All other ethnic groups in the Bakwu enclave pay homage to the Bokunaba. By that, they go to the Bokunaba to inform him and then seek permission to celebrate their festivals. Now, the other aspect is also about performing burial rites and whatnot. So all these things amount to the proximate factors. So then you understand why tensions have been there since decades. This conflict is prolonged and the two sides have taken entrenched positions. Now, when we talk about triggers are acts that can instantly result in clashes between the two sides, such as disagreements. In a place sensitive such as Bakwu, any little disagreement over any issue you can think about can result to clashes, mainly between the two sides.
You say any issue, so even trivialities can spill over, boil over.
What we describe as trivialities can trigger clashes. Okay? Now, for example, I think in 2000 or so, we had elections and then the results were being counted. Disagreements over election results resulted in clashes between the two sides. And now yesterday, you have the aspect of a market. Some people will say it's trivial. Well, they own their own narrative. So if it is trivial, why do you think then it should emanate or result to clashes? Now you're talking about practices, norms, and culture of a certain people, which you don't have to disregard no matter who you are, or you call yourself a stakeholder or a third party neutral entity who is supposed to assist or perform a role per your mandate given in a conflict area such as this. The activities you take are very, very important. So one side does not misinterpret the action as you are favoring the other side against them. When we talk about characteristics of a third party, Castro mentioned a lot of them. What he does when he gets information, communicates with the two sides, he doesn't take sides, he listens, he observes, he has his feet firmly grounded. All these things have to be known to our stakeholders in Bakwu, i.e. the security personnel and other, prominent members who go in there in the name of mediation and negotiation. But most of the times, what goes wrong is these stakeholders don't have the historical antecedents of the conflict. They don't understand that as a neutral third party who is supposed to gain trust from the two sides. There are issues you don't talk about. There are activities you don't engage in. You listen. You don't judge. You observe. You show empathy to either side. You have your feet firmly grounded, meaning that you are able to address the issues that are brought before you. And that is how you gain more trust. Immediately you go against these characteristics, then the trust is broken.
Certainly. So, Doc, this would be finding a perfect marriage or balance between empathy and tact because of how sensitive the issues are. Now,
very much so.
Let's talk about the military presence in the Bakwu area. is the military approach helping or worsening the situation on the ground? And what's the balance between force and diplomacy?
Now, the military approach, or let's put it, the security presence in Bakwu is for one purpose, enforcing the curfews and then ensure that there's enough patrolling so the two factions do not clash. The military approach is akin to what I call, or what has been already propounded as what direct prevention measures, which is, implemented towards immediate actions, curfews and whatnot. Now, it is one aspect to addressing an armed conflict such as this. It is not the only way to address the conflict. There are other ways to address a conflict, i.e., you engage the two sides in mediation and negotiation. You have a local grassroots committee that will take up some of the issues and address themselves. You are talking about stakeholders who have to come in, and not just any stakeholder, stakeholders who are trusted and who have enough knowledge and depth and capacity to address the issues. Okay? Now, the difference between force and diplomacy. Normally, when you have a situation like this, security forces go in there. They are also expected to have capacity building in preventive diplomacy or in the area of prevention, and then know how to even communicate with the people, with either side, because your lack of communication or better communication can also lead to inflamed of passions and then result to violence.
Right.
In the aspect of using force, it's only when the humanitarian crisis in the area is getting worse off. People are being killed indiscriminately, houses are torched, farms are being burned, and all of that. Attacks on the personnel themselves by armed groups, then you can use some minimum level of force to calm the situation down. But by and large, in a situation such as this, an inter-ethnic conflict such as this, we are always encouraged to use preventive diplomacy, which entails in negotiation and mediation. But I think what has been the challenge or the problem, and we are still having these issues, is we've not been able to address the proximate factors. As for the root cause, which is chieftaincy, when you go and ask the two sides, they'll tell you their perspective. And the Kusas to tell you, anybody who says they want the chieftaincy, it's non-negotiable. Per their narrative, they have sorted it out in the courts. The courts ruled and it's over. When you have the opportunity to ask the Mampusis, they'll tell you what is left is the chieftaincy. And this is not just saying, this is a fact based on research that I conducted in the area. Now, this aside, you have proximate issues that have contributed to the dynamics that have changed in Bakwu. What happened in Narulegu on February 13th or so, 2023, the rival chief. How do you also handle that? Okay, so you have one issue about having to let one side agree that for the chieftaincy, you can't have it because of A, B, and C. And then you have another issue that has compounded it, a rival chief. And then you have other issues such as the festival celebrations, the funerals, and whatnot, also compounding the issue. Stakeholders need to pick these items and address them one by one. Now, the only thing in Bakwu, per the mandate of the overlord, is to have a performance of a traditional rite, the burial of the Oklo stick, which will signify the end of the conflict. And I'm hoping the two sides will all raise this when they meet their eminent kin in negotiations and mediations, processes with them, for them to know how to go about it. This process some time back was supposed to, be implemented, but then one side opted out because they said it wasn't their culture. What then can we do? Okay, this is what stakeholders need to be asking. What other alternatives do you have with regards to performing this right? Because we want the two of you to coexist. You can't say you are taking out one person, one ethnic group out of the area. It doesn't happen. They have intermarried. They have what? Coexisted for a long time.
That's right.
All you need to do is to what? Find a common ground and then bring the two together. And this is what they've brought up. This is their tradition. And you, the third party, mediator or negotiator, have to work with this interest or needs or wants that they have proposed to you and see how best you can facilitate for the two sides to come to an agreement. This has been also challenging because then you have these options coming in and then the third parties are somewhat tired. The CSOs who were there before are not there anymore because of what? Depletion of funds, prolonged nature of the conflict. They are essentially tired. But by and large, the political will has been shown by the president to see the issue addressed.
Right.
If they can pick on these issues that many of us are talking about, I think they can do something.
Now, Doc, I wanted to ask, what have been the most effective peacekeeping or mediation models globally that Ghana could possibly adopt for Bakwu? If anything like that exists that you think we could transplant to help our own situation?
Well, there is, for what I know now, they are using everything they are doing in Bakwu, what translates to what you can do in the international space with regards to peacekeeping and conflict prevention or conflict resolution and management, meeting the two factions, okay? Having curfews in place, it's there, and showing that the two sides do not clash, ensuring coexistence and whatnot, bringing in eminent persons like that Santahene, the ministers going in there, the IGP going in there. So everything is going according to the book as we know in the conflict resolution spectrum. But then there will be challenges. Now, are we a development agency builder as their peace building facilitator? So that NGO leads facilitation with regards to peace building. The committee themselves engage, come up with modalities. For example, they came out with an early warning system called the alert call system. So when you hear issues going in one aspect, they call their members there to find out and then try and move in there to what resolve the issue. This was one of the mechanisms they were using to curb the violent attacks and then the tensions in the area. For some time now, the committee has not been working because of what? Capacity. They don't have the capacity. Even talk about an office for them to work in, mobility, resource. You see, they need to have capacity building here and there about negotiations and mediations and whatnot. It's not happening. And let's talk about the state institution mandated for conflict resolution, the National Peace Council. We all know, okay, last year, even when they came out with challenges for funds, I don't know what they are doing now, but they need to be resourced and to undertake risk assessments. They need to go on monitoring and evaluation to assess the situation and know where they can implement measures. Okay, that would foster coexistence. As it is now, the issue is all in the hands of His Eminence again, and to rope in the other stakeholders who I would entreat to give the maximum support, because you're talking about a prolonged conflict that is draining our resources.
That's right.
So these are the aspects that we need to look at. But so far as, the conflict resolution and management prevention spectrum is concerned, they are going according to the books. But one thing I would like to say is the stakeholders who are mandated to engage the two sides from the state or central government side need to ensure that they remain neutral as much as possible. To gain the trust of the people, you need to implement policies or mechanisms that seem to be fair and neutral and not support one side.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this morning and for putting some more flesh on the bones for us. Dr. Victor Doke is a security lecturer with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, speaking to us there about our topic today. And we were asking, can Bakwu ever give peace a chance? prior to that, you were also listening to my colleague Castro Sengela, our Upper East Regional Correspondent.
The best in the morning.